Ms. Tanya Dubash, Mr. Ardeshir Godrej, Mr. Nitin Nabar, Ms. Monaz Noble, Ms. Shweta Bhatia, Dr. Ganpati Yadav, Mr. Sandeep Murthy, Mr. Ajay Kumar Vagani, and I are attending this AGM from Mumbai. Mr. Matthew Ipe has joined the meeting from Hyderabad. I would like to welcome Mr. Ardeshir Godrej to his first annual general meeting of Godrej Industries Limited. Mr. Clement Pinto, Chief Financial Officer, and Ms. Tejal Jariwala, Company Secretary, are also attending the meeting from Mumbai. I would also like to welcome the representatives of Messrs. BSR and Company LLP, statutory auditors, Messrs. Kalyaniwala and Mistry LLP, proposed statutory auditors, Messrs. A.N. Ramani and Company, secretarial auditors, Messrs. R. Nanabhai and Company, cost auditors, and Computech Sharecap Limited, registrar and share transfer agents of the company. Mr. Kalidas Vanchpe, practicing company secretary, has been appointed to act as the scrutinizer to scrutinize the remote e-voting and the e-voting at the meeting and provide the consolidated results of the voting. I would like to inform you that the tenure of Messrs. BSR and Company LLP as the statutory auditors of the company will come to an end at the conclusion of this 34th AGM. Hence, on behalf of our team at Godrej Industries and the shareholders, I convey our sincere appreciation and gratitude for the efficient services and guidance provided by the statutory auditors during their tenure with the company as the statutory auditors. As I am interested in item number 4 of the notice of AGM pertaining to my reappointment as the chairman and managing director, Mr. Nitin Nabar, non-interested director, may please be considered as the chairman for the said item. The auditor's report on the financial statements of the company and the secretarial audit report for the financial year ended 31st March 2022 does not have any qualifications, observations, or adverse remarks. Accordingly, the reports are not required to be read out before the meeting as provided in the Companies Act 2013. As the notice of the AGM is already circulated to all the members, with your permission, I take the notice of the meeting as read. I now request Ms. Tejal Jariwala, Company Secretary, to explain the process of voting on the resolutions at the meeting.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I, Tejal Jariwala, Company Secretary and Compliance Officer, have joined this meeting from Mumbai. All the members joining this meeting are by default placed on mute mode to avoid any background noise disturbance and to ensure smooth and seamless conduct of the meeting. The company has engaged services of Central Depository Services India Limited for remote e-voting prior to the AGM and e-voting during the AGM on all the resolutions set forth in the notice. I would like to inform the members that as per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013, the remote e-voting process was carried out by the company from Monday, August 8, 2022 till Thursday, August 11, 2022 through the services provided by CDSL. The members who have not cast their votes on the resolutions by remote e-voting prior to the AGM are provided the facility to cast their votes through e-voting system available on www.evotingindia.com during this AGM. The e-voting facility will remain open during the AGM and also for 15 minutes after the conclusion of the AGM to enable the members to cast their vote and will thereafter be disabled. Mr. Kalidas Vanchpe, scrutinizer, shall submit his report to the chairman or Mr. Nitin Nabar, Executive Director and President Chemicals, after the meeting. Since the resolutions mentioned in the notice convening this AGM have already been put to vote through remote e-voting and the facility for e-voting is also available at the AGM, proposing and seconding of the resolutions is not required. Now, I would like to brief you on a few guidelines to be followed for the question and answer session to take place later at the meeting. I will announce the names of the registered speaker shareholders. Speakers will thereafter be unmuted by the host of the AGM and will be allowed to express their views or ask questions. To maintain decorum of the meeting and to conclude the meeting in good time, I request each speaker to be brief and avoid repetition. The speaker shareholders are requested to switch on their video while speaking. If the shareholders are unable to join through video mode for any reason, they are advised to switch off the camera and speak using the audio mode. Speaker shareholders are also requested to minimize any background noise to ensure that they can be heard clearly. While speaking, we request the speakers to use microphone of their earphone so that they are clearly audible. If there is any connectivity problem at the speaker shareholders end, we will request the next speaker shareholder to speak. The shareholders are requested to be loud and clear while speaking so as to enable us to note the questions correctly. Now, I hand over the meeting back to the chairman to proceed further with the conduct of the meeting.
Thank you, Teja. I am delighted to share with you the events and developments of your company during the course of the financial year 21-22. The year gone by is representative of the value Godrej Industries continues to create for all its stakeholders. As a conglomerate with diverse business interests, growth at consolidated level is pursued through competitively growing your company's core businesses, building an environment to achieve transformation, while also nurturing and investing in emerging businesses of the future. This approach of your company's business strategy is captured in the approach called CREATE, which stands for C for consumer and chemicals, RE for real estate, A for agri, T for transformation, E for emergent. I would like to summarize the performance for each dimension of your company's CREATE strategy. C, consumer and chemicals. GCPL is a leading emerging markets company. As part of the 125-year young Godrej Group, GCPL is fortunate to have a proud legacy built on the strong values of trust, integrity, and respect for others. At the same time, it is growing fast and has exciting, ambitious aspirations. Besides the strong financial strengths and innovative, much-loved products, GCPL remains a good company. GCPL is also bringing together the passion and purpose to make a difference through the good and green approach to create a more inclusive and greener India. GCPL is a leader in serving the hair care needs of women of African descent, the #1 player in hair color in India and sub-Saharan Africa, and among the leading players in Latin America. GCPL ranks #2 in soaps in India and is the #1 player in air fresheners and wet tissues in Indonesia. From a category perspective, GCPL delivered a strong performance in the personal care category with a growth of 17%. However, the home care category delivered a muted performance with a growth of 3%. From a geographical perspective, GCPL India grew at 11%. Africa, USA, and the Middle East business continued its growth trajectory, growing at 22% in Indian rupees and in constant currency terms. However, its Indonesian business delivered a degrowth of 5% in Indian rupees and 4% in constant currency terms. GCPL continues to focus its growth efforts in household insecticides, hygiene, and value for money. They are using this time to find ways to move faster and experiment more, sharpen execution, build platforms for the future, double down on digitization and sustainability, and create more delight for all consumers. We remain committed to our purpose of bringing the goodness of health and beauty to consumers in emerging markets. GCPL was recently ranked among BW Businessworld's list of India's top 10 sustainable companies for the second year in a row. Chemicals. Our chemical business continued its strong performance. The total revenue of the business stood at 3,057 crore and recorded a robust growth of 83%. Operating profit of the business stood at 268 crore and recorded a growth of 125% over the corresponding period of the previous year. The business did well across its product categories with good demand from hygiene-related industries. We continue to ensure that our growth is both sustainable as well as profitable and that we continue to prioritize safety. Several initiatives taken by the business resulted in energy and operating efficiencies has also helped the business to grow in a profitable and sustainable manner. I'm happy to share that the chemicals business received several awards and recognition. Our Ambernath factory is now a responsible care certified factory, and our Valia factory is a Green Co Platinum certified factory. Our Valia factory has also been recognized by the Union of Japanese Scientists and Engineers for 5S workplace management system. I'm also happy to share that our chemical business bagged the coveted Global HR Excellence Award in the category Organization with Best Employee Relations Practices at the 29th edition of the World HRD Congress 2021. We won bronze. The team leveraged digital and physical channels to report a booking value of 7,861 crore, the highest ever in the history of GPL. On the operational front, GPL successfully delivered 6.41 million square feet across its projects. It also had the highest ever annual residential collection of 6,000 907 crore in fiscal year 22. Benchmark Assessment Report, an industry-driven organization which assesses environmental, social, and governance performance. The real estate sector has strengthened during fiscal year 22, and we expect strong growth for the sector over the next few years. With a robust launch pipeline, strong balance sheet, and sectorial tailwinds, we look forward to building on this momentum in fiscal year 23. Agribusiness, GAVL. The financial year 2021-22 turned out to be a strong financial year for Godrej Agrovet in terms of top-line growth with strengthening profitability. It recorded a total income of 8,385 crore in financial year 21-22, growing at a 33% as compared to the previous year. The consolidated profit before tax grew by 19.5% as compared to the previous year. Most of GAVL's businesses registered a strong volume growth with the exception of our standalone crop protection segment. Growth in profitability was largely driven by animal feeds, vegetable oil, and Aztec Life Sciences, while crop protection and the food businesses reported a decline in operating margin. The animal feed business recorded times year on year. For the standalone crop protection business, it was a very challenging year on account of an erratic and uneven monsoon. Aztec Life Sciences Limited reported another year of outstanding growth with increase in total revenues by 22.1% and PBT by 36% year on year. Higher realizations in exports were supported by favorable product mix and operational efficiencies. Our dairy subsidiary, Creamline Dairy, achieved notable market share gains in key value-added products, registering a 13.8% top-line growth. However, margins declined owing to challenges in passing on increase in the milk procurement cost, logistics, and packaging. Similarly, for poultry and the processed food business, favorable demand dynamics in real good chicken and live bird subsegments were offset by volatile live bird prices and elevated commodity inflation throughout the year. Godrej Agrovet also focused on achieving the long-term sustainability targets guided by the group's Good and Green vision. We participated in climate disclosure projects, CDP, carbon and forest disclosure, becoming one of the first companies in the Indian agricultural sector to do so. GAVL CDP scores related to climate and palm submission are ahead of the global averages. T, transformation. As a group, your company believes in inclusive growth that aims at enhancing the competitiveness of the businesses while simultaneously advancing the economic and social conditions of the communities in which it operates. This focus is implemented group-wide through the Godrej Good and Green initiative. The Godrej Group stood in solidarity with efforts to overcome COVID-19. We stood in solidarity with our people and governments and the many efforts to ensure public health and safety. We took initiatives in the area of medical equipment supply, vaccination and vaccination awareness, product innovations, and supply and support at factories. These businesses will be nurtured under your company, Godrej Capital Limited. a subsidiary of your company, is a non-banking finance company. Core Investment Company, NBFCCIC, exempt from registration during the year with approval of Reserve Bank of India, RBI, GCL acquired. Godrej Housing Finance Limited, a non-banking finance company. And Godrej Housing Finance Company, and Godrej Financing Limited, a non-banking finance company. We believe that this new business will create overall value to the stakeholders. We, through Godrej Maxi Milk, a subsidiary of JVL, are engaged in vitro production of high-quality cows that aid dairy farmers produce top-quality milk, which help in increasing their yield by a significant proportion. To conclude, we had a good year. We remain encouraged and confident of achieving our long-term objectives of inclusive, sustainable, and profitable growth. As we look ahead, I feel confident of strong growth in the medium to long term. I am confident that our disciplined strategy, prudent approach, focus on agile execution, and 42 crore, recording a growth of 37% over the corresponding quarter of the previous year, and the consolidated net profit for the quarter ended June 30th, 2022 is 204 crore, recording a growth of 47% over the corresponding quarter of the previous year. The market capitalization of your company as on 30th June 2022 was about 14,572 crore, CAGR growth of about 27% since 2001. I would also like to extend my gratitude toward our business partners, associates, vendors, and also the central, state, and local governments and government agencies for their sustained support. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to all of our shareholders for your continued faith, trust, encouragement, and support. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all our employees for their contribution in the continued success of Godrej Industries. We now open the floor for questions from the shareholders present at the meeting. I request the company secretary to call out the names of those shareholders who have registered themselves to speak or ask questions pertaining to the performance of the company one by one.
Thank you, sir. We have received requests from 13 members to speak at the AGM. The questions will be answered once all the registered speakers have completed their speech. The first speaker is Mr. Kirti Shah.
Mr. Kirti Shah has not joined the meeting. We can move to the next speaker.
Okay, so the next speaker is Dr. Arun Kumar Bopanna. Dr. Bopanna, you've been unmuted. You may please switch on your video camera and speak.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, Nadir.
Good afternoon, Arun.
Missed your poetry. Good afternoon to everybody. My questions. What are the revenues of products launched in the last 2 years? What has been the impact on the PL and balance sheet due to the Russian-Ukraine war? So here, ironically, population will grow, business will grow, because they're going to enter the consumption cycle. But don't you think it will put a pressure on the natural resources and increase the raw material cost? Your comments on that. What is the expected size of industry in each segment in the coming 5 to 7 years? Will there be any disruptions by new players and new business models? Because things are changing very fast. And any new initiatives of zero liquid discharge, zero waste? And what are the disruptions in this field? What is happening on the ESG metrics front to protect the planet and do good for the people? The transformation as a group, you said, and emergent businesses. What is structured and what is nurtured? And what are your goals in the renewable energy? And what were the raw material challenges you faced at the start of 2021-22? How did the company address this challenge, and how are you going to balance in the future? What differentiates our company products? Volume-wise, price, opportunity, availability. Just Godrej name or anything else? And you said GCPL continues to focus on growth on the household insecticides, etc., hygiene, value and value for money, etc. What's new coming up? Any new innovations? And vegetable oil business reap benefits because higher oil prices and improved efficiency. Will it continue? Lastly, Nadir, this is the last of the season meeting, so I can't let you down on the poetry part. Nadir, as chairman, has been appointed. Nadir stopped poetry. I'm disappointed. Nadir is a worthy successor. In commitment, he is no lesser. Godrej Industries is like an umbrella. Nadir at the helm protects this umbrella. Compliments for all the awards, Nadir. Shareholders' dividends are the rewards. Godrej Industries is to make profits is keen. Positive conditions are seen. Godrej philanthropy is absolute. Godrej philanthropy deserves a salute. In conclusion, I wish Godrej Industries will convert the inventions into companies and start the success story, continue the success story. I wish you all the best. I expect your answer in poetry, Nadir. Thank you very much. Last of the season till next year, and happy birthday on the 26th of August to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bopanna. Next speaker is Mr. Yusuf Rangwala. Mr. Yusuf Rangwala, you've been unmuted. You may please switch on your camera and speak now.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. आपको मेरा आवाज आ रहा है? नमस्कार सर,
Yes,
मैं
we can
मुंबई
hear you.
से बात करता हूँ सर। कि आपको देख के सर, चेयरमैन साहब, हाउ इज योर हेल्थ सर? पहले मैं आपकी तबीयत के बारे में जानना चाहता हूँ। आपकी तबीयत केम है साहब? बिजी वाट सर,
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes, sir. First, I will wish you a very happy Parsi year. Parsi Puppety, sir, which is on Tuesday, sir. My best wishes for your festival, sir. And sir, nothing more to add, sir. Godrej, yes, sir. Godrej में मुझे कुछ पूछने की जरूरत नहीं है. We having a 4 factory, sir, and it is a very excellent and very knowledgeable. I am very happy with our company team, sir. I salute to you for the work, sir, and I support all the individuals, sir. Nothing more to add. Thank you very much. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra. One day today, I am nothing asking, sir. Only my full support and wish you good luck, sir. Thank you very much. Nothing more to add, sir, today.
Thank you so much. The next speaker is Ms. Hutokshi Patel.
Ms. Patel has not joined. We can move to the next speaker.
Okay, so the next speaker is Mr. Shashikant Marathe.
Mr. Marathi is also not there. We can move to the next speaker.
Okay, next speaker after that is Mr. Bharat Shah.
Mr. Shah is also not joined. We can move to the next speaker, please.
Okay. Next speaker is Mr. Rajen Anil Shah. Mr. Shah, you have been unmuted. You may please start your video camera and speak. Thank you.
Chairman, good afternoon to you and everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. Sir, I had a few questions actually. Recently we reported excellent numbers. In fact, today we reported excellent numbers for Q1. Turnover is up 37%, as you said in your opening remarks, and net profit is also up about 47%. Last year too, for March 2022, we reported excellent numbers. But sir, this excellent performance is not being acknowledged by the market, stock market I'm talking about. Because ultimately what a shareholder is concerned is what wealth a company creates for its shareholder. And if you see over the past 5 years, despite good performance by group companies like consumer, properties, agrovet, and even industries, the stock is not reflecting that. There's hardly any appreciation we have got over the past 5 years, sir. And even the first quarter results which came out today during market hours, the stock is hardly moved. So something seems to be wrong. Market is not acknowledging this great performance. So I have just jotted down certain points which I think the management should think about, which the market, I think, is taking into account and hence not acknowledging this great performance. I think the debt is very high. I think we have crossed 5,000 crore of debt, if I'm not wrong. And the interest costs also have gone up to about 623 crores in the last year. So I think that is what the market has not liked. Debt is actually, Godrej Consumer doesn't have any debt. Godrej Property also, the debt is very low. But why is the debt so high in Godrej Industries? So I think that is what is not being liked by the market. That is one thing. Secondly, sir, we hold 45,000 crore worth of shares of group companies like Godrej Consumer, Godrej Properties, Godrej Agrovet. And, we are trading ourselves at about 15,000 crores, So there's a discount of almost 65%. Something needs to be done. We should sell some shares, maybe about 5,000 crore worth of group company shares and retire the debt and become debt free, sir, because we can save almost 600 crores on interest expense and the net profit would shoot up and the EPS would move up and hence tremendous wealth could be created in Godrej Industries. What would be the value of the same and any plans to develop that with Godrej Properties? And my last question is that, the stock is undervalued. I mean, it's very clear we hold 45,000 crore worth of shares and market cap 15,000 crores. And plus we are putting in such great numbers every quarter. So any plans for buy? So for remaining shareholders, good value could be created. So that is one suggestion. Also, sir, last question was that the first quarter performance has been superb. So can we expect similar performance in the remaining 3 quarters of the current year? So that's all, sir. These are my questions and thank you and wish you a great health.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. Next speaker is Ms. Toral Vijay Parekh.
Ms. Parekh has not joined. We can move to the next speaker.
Okay, next speaker then is Mr. Shailesh Mahadevia. Mr. Mahadevia, you've been unmuted. You may please start your video camera and speak.
Yeah, I will. Can you see it now? Yes, I believe you can. Respected Chairman, Mr. Nadir Godrej, other board of directors and members of the company. Sir, let me begin by congratulating you for being given recognition of Lifetime Achievement Home and Personal Care Award recently in Goa by the Indian Home and Personal Care Industries Association. Sir, my congratulations to you for your achievement. You have been working almost throughout all your life in the beginning, I believe with our first company when we started. Sir, then let me appreciate the excellent report which has been produced. It gives all the details. I would not like to go in the details of other companies except for the chemical division as they have been discussed separately individually. Sir, then I would also like to appreciate that responsible care has been given to one of our factories. Similarly, Green Co Platinum has been given. And thirdly, 5S by the Japanese have been given to our companies. And Godrej Good and Great initiative of ours is not only known amongst Godrej family, but in the entire nation in view of its long-term approach and the way in which it has achieved various achievements in the field of environment. Sir, I would now like to put some questions with a view to increase my understanding. Sir, my first question is that have we worked out the economic value added of only the chemical division of our company? Because ours is a holding company, and naturally we may not have worked out, but for the chemical division, if it has been worked out. Sir, my second question is that we being a holding company, we are nurturing new companies, and we are showing great interest in housing finance and NBFCs. Sir, are we likely to shoot off this and come with a IPO in this particular area of our activity also? Sir, my third question is that 5S workshop management system has been given to us. Sir, may I know what is this 5S stands for? If you can throw light more on this recognition, because ISO certifications are widely known, but this Japanese thing is not very well known. Sir, then my next question is regarding our exports. They are 29% of our turnover, and we are exporting to 70 countries. Sir, I feel we have laid down a solid foundation for more exports in the years to come, which will be appreciated, which will be appreciated by government. Sir, I was under the impression that we are having a very good production, etc., in palm oil. But this, I believe, is the palm oil-based fatty acids, which are being imported. Sir, we have also participated in Forest 2021 palm oil, and we have received B rating, which is higher than the Asia regional average. So this is a good achievement. We are moving in the right direction. So, sir, what future we can expect in this particular field? Sir, my next question is regarding our income from glycerin, which is about 9% of our turnover. Sir, the country is also importing refined glycerin in view of the shortage of glycerin in the country. Sir, I would like to know whether we are in a position to offer refined glycerin, which is badly required, and we can replace the import of it. I understand that glycerin is not one of our main products, but only one of our byproducts. But all the same, it is generating good and interesting reward. Sir, my next question is regarding investments in renewable energy. This is mainly with the idea that we will be making savings in various environmental related problems, particularly emissions of CO2, etc., etc. But, sir, the electric that compared with thermal power, the investment would be very high, although the maintenance as far as solar is concerned is negligible. Sir, if you can throw some more light because there is a dichotomy, because whether renewals are always preferable or only up to a certain limit it is to be preferred, depending on our turbine fuel arrangement. Sir, then I would like to come to my next question. Our factory is kosher, halal, and ISO 22000 certified. Sir, may I know for what purpose we are enjoying this particular certification? And the words like kosher and halal I had not even heard of in relation to ISO certifications. Sir, my last question is regarding our offer of blended oil. We are offering a number of varieties of oils, but the blended oil we are proposing to introduce, and it will have two great advantages. It will carry nutrients and it will also have antioxidant properties which are badly required for any human being. Sir, can you throw some more light on this particular subject? And sir, lastly, I wish you a very happy new year, which you will be enjoying on Tuesday. Sir, with this, I wish you and our organization all the successes in the year to come. Namaste.
Thank you, Mr. Mahadevia. The next speaker is Mr. Mukesh Mohan Chandiramani.
Mr. Chandiramani has not joined the AGM. We can move to the next speaker.
Okay. The next one is Mr. Vinod Agarwal. Mr. Vinod Agarwal, you've been unmuted. You may please turn on your camera and speak.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to start on the video like the bandwidth goes. I am only in audio mode. So that would be fine, I think so. Chairman, MD Ardeshir Godrej, CFO Clement Penny, Company Secretary Tejal Jariwala, Executive Director, President Mr. Nabur. I voted for 5 resolutions sought for this meeting. Good afternoon to everyone. And sir, I have noted that the standalone losses over there of 44 crore. This is only due to exceptional item of writing off of plant and property not needed, and that is a write-off out there of 66 crore. Had that not been there, we would have been profit even in this year, sir. Walia, Vadala and Dombivali. Sir, we will miss Mr. Adi Godrej. As the chairman, he used to be there. We used to attend those meetings regularly with him. And our chemical business had a good performance last year with the operating profit increasing by 125%, sir, to 268 crores, sir. I wish the company all the best. Signing off, Vinod Agarwal from Mumbai, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Agarwal. The next speaker is Mr. Dinesh Bhatia. Mr. Bhatia, you've been unmuted. You may please start your video and speak.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
मेरा वीडियो और ऑडियो दोनों आ रहा है फ्रेंड? Hello.
Audio is coming. Video is not there, sir. Yes. Now it is.
Still no. फर्स्ट तो मैं चेयरमैन थी आपको कांग्रेचुलेशन कहूंगा कि आप ये उम्र में भी ये कंपनी के ऊपर पूरा ध्यान देते हैं, वो एक बहुत अच्छी बात है। आपको हमेशा कुदरत अच्छा ही हेल्थ और वेल्थ दोनों में अच्छा ही रखे, ऐसी हमारी मनोकामना है। तो मैं आपको और आपकी पूरी टीम को कांग्रेचुलेशन कहूंगा। अच्छी बात है कि हमारा ऐसा पेंडेमिक पीरियड में भी रेवेन्यू जो लिया है, हमारी कंपनी ने जो रेवेन्यू लिया है बहुत अच्छा रेवेन्यू है। 3,339.60 करोड़ का हमारा रेवेन्यू है, वो बहुत अच्छी चीज है, प्रशंसनीय है। आप लोग की मेहनत है जिससे इतना रेवेन्यू मिला। ठीक है, हमारे लास्ट क्वार्टर में जो 41.39 करोड़ का लॉस की वजह से आगे का भी सब लॉस मिटाने के बाद ये 44.19 करोड़ का लॉस हुआ है। हमारा जो 1 रुपये के शेयर के पीछे 1 या 30 पैसे का लॉस हुआ है। ठीक है, हम मानते हैं कि अभी नेक्स्ट क्वार्टर से हम प्रॉफिट में, मुनाफे में आ जाएंगे। ऐसे हम देखें तो हमारा कंपनी का जो प्राइस है आज मार्केट में, ₹1 का शेयर 467 रुपीज शेयर इज कोटिंग $467 टुडे इज द वेरी गुड साइनिंग कि हमारा कंपनी में मार्केट को सबको प्रोग्रेस दिखता है कि आगे हमारी कंपनी प्रगति करने वाली है। अभी गवर्नमेंट की नई पॉलिसी भी एग्रो के लिए और जो निकली है सब, उसके हिसाब से हमें लगता है कि हमारी कंपनी श्योर आपकी मेहनत, आपकी और आपकी पूरी टीम की मेहनत की वजह से आगे बढ़ेंगी, आई एम श्योर। और मार्केट भी वही दिखा रहा है कि ₹1 शेयर ट्रेडेड 467, इट मीन ₹10 का जो शेयर है 4,670 रुपया होता था। तो ये एक अच्छी साइनिंग है और हम मानते हैं, मैं भी इसमें आपको सपोर्ट देता हूँ, मैं हर एक रिजोल्यूशन में सपोर्ट देता हूँ और मेरे को खातरी है कि हमारी कंपनी आगे प्रगति करेगी। दूसरा हम देखें तो आपके जो कहूंगा, जो हमें अवार्ड्स जो मिले हैं वो भी एक प्रशंसनीय है। बहुत गर्व की बात है कि हमारी कंपनी को काफी अवार्ड्स मिले हैं फैक्ट्री के लिए और काफी चीज के लिए, तो वो भी एक अच्छी बात है। मैं हर एक रिजोल्यूशन में सपोर्ट देता हूँ। ऑल द बेस्ट। थैंक यू सर।
Thank you, Mr. Bhatia. The next speaker is Mr. Sanuj Rajan.
Mr. Rajan has not joined the AGM.
Okay, with this we've covered all the registered speakers. I request the chairman to answer the queries raised by the shareholders now.
Right. Dr. Bopana, you asked about the revenues of new products in the last 2 years. This is for our chemicals products. The revenue for the new products was 200 crores in this year, and in the previous year, it was 135 crore. These are our specialty products that we recently introduced and are very different from our basic chemicals that we normally sell. You requested me to reply to you in rhyme. I don't have the skill to write verse at will, but given adequate time, I would gladly reply in rhyme. So if you permit, I will give you a dose of less pleasing prose. Our green energy is now at 50% of all our energy in the chemicals business. We have had RM challenges in many of our businesses. In the animal feed business, the government suddenly allowed the imports of soybean meal. In the chemicals business, the vegetable oil prices and their byproducts suddenly fell, whereas the animal feed business was not able to take this in its stride. Our chemical business was able to take this in stride. Mr. Rangwala, thank you very much for your comments and your wishes. My health is fine. Thank you for inquiring. Mr. Rajesh Shah, you were concerned about our stock pricing not moving. We are also concerned about that. You are right that the market is not acknowledging our performance. Conglomerate discounts are very common in the Indian market, and we seem to be having a very large discount. You mentioned that our interest costs are high. That is true, but our debt is not very high compared to our assets. We are not able to mark our assets to market in the accounting system we use. You recommended selling of shares. This is not tax efficient. You also recommended a buyback, which is also not tax efficient. So I think we will have to be patient. The market is bound to recognize the progress we are making in good time. The chemical business is on a good path and it is expected to continue, but the global situation is very volatile and we do not normally make forward-looking statements. Mr. Mahadevia, thank you for all your kind comments and your congratulations on our awards, both personal and business, and for your appreciation of our Good and Green program, which is both environmental and social, and which we are able to do by enhancing business and profits rather than at the cost of profits. There are no immediate plans for IPOs of our financial business, but of course it could take place after some years. Our export percentage has always been high, but in the last year, because of very high freight rates, we have actually done a lot of import substitution. Either way, we have helped India's foreign exchange, but we have been more successful in the domestic market even than in exports. You had a question about palm fatty acid distillate. It's a very important raw material for us. Godrej Agrovet does not have a palm oil refinery, so it does not produce palm fatty acid distillate. Palm fatty acid distillate is a byproduct of palm oil refining. Palm oil has as much as 4 to 5% free fatty acid when it is produced. In order to refine it, the free fatty acid is removed by physical refining. In fact, it is distilled off. It is not made by splitting the palm oil. It exists in the palm oil and it is merely separated by distillation. This is a very common raw material for the oleochemical industry. We source some of it from Indian refineries, but much of it from Malaysian and Indonesian refineries. So we cannot source it from Godrej Agrovet. Godrej Agrovet does supplies palm oil mainly to refiners and not to the chemical industry. You had a question about glycerine. Last year, glycerine prices were very high. This year, the prices have come down. We produce a fair amount of crude glycerine, but because we don't use oils and we use raw materials as palm fatty acid distillate, we do not produce glycerine from these raw materials, but we also use a lot of rapeseed oil and we do produce glycerine from rapeseed oil. We have refining capacity for glycerine, much more than our production of crude glycerine, and we import crude glycerine mostly from the rapidly expanding global biodiesel industry. You had some questions about renewable energy. You mentioned that solar energy has high capital costs. And of course, solar energy cannot produce electricity all the time because it needs sunshine. But the big benefit of solar energy and wind energy is there are no fuel costs, unlike thermal in our oil palm mills. And this biomass is produced from the palm fruit bunches. That is our raw material. So our palm oil mills are fully sufficient in their own biomass and actually sell some biomass and do not have to source any biomass. Biomass is a big focus for us, and we are looking at new alternatives such as expressly grown biomass. And we think that the future for India, a combination of all of these would be the best alternative for India. We will take on board your suggestions for blended oils. Our vegetable oil business is small, but as Godrej Agrovet starts up its palm oil refinery, we will, as a group, we will look at more alternatives of providing vegetable oils. And thank you very much for your New Year wishes. Mr. Agarwal, yes, the chemical business is in good shape right now, but we do not want to make any forward-looking remarks. Mr. Bhatia, thank you for all your kind remarks. Yeah, there was a question about the increase in value of the group's listed companies. It was 4,180 crore during the last financial year. The accounting standards that we follow do not allow MTM of the investments we have in group companies. There was a question about 5S from Sailesh Mahadevia, and they are sought, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. With that, I conclude my answers. I thank all the members and directors for attending this AGM through video conference. In case any of the questions remain unanswered or the members were unable to speak due to any technical issues during the meeting, the members may please communicate their questions to the company through email at investor@godrejins.com, which shall be answered suitably. The e-voting process will continue for the next 15 minutes and will be disabled thereafter. The voting results will be announced on or before August 14th, 2022, and the same will be intimated to the stock exchange and will be uploaded on the website of the company. With your consent now, I and the other board members would like to take your leave. Thank you.